This is the Coeur d'Alene Planning and Zoning Commission. And this is our July meeting. It's Tuesday, July 12th.
No, can't hear you.
Would you do a roll call, Shanna, please?
Jordan?
Here.
Fleming?
Here.
Ingalls?
Here.
Lutrip?
Here.
Messina?
Here.
Rumpler?
Here.
Ward?
Here.
Okay. In fact, looks like everybody's here, aren't they? Great. All right, so please join us next for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, so next we have the approval of minutes from the June 14th meeting.
Mr. Chair, I would move that we motion to approve the minutes from last meeting.
Second.
Before we do, I think they need to, I think there's was a typo on the second page. I don't know if it's autocorrect or whatnot. What should it read?
Commissioner Lutrip will make a correction to the minutes. It looks like we had said that there would be a refund to taxpayers under the de-annexation item, and instead that would be going back to the taxing districts. So we'll make sure that's corrected in the minutes.
So we should say, return to the taxing district, taxpayers through taxing district.
That's correct, yes.
Good point.
Yeah, the taxpayers may not get it back, but the taxing district will get it.
Well, the taxpayers get it back. Yeah, yeah. So I would move a correction to, what was it? Do I make another motion or?
That was a
You
good
heard-
point.
you can
I
make
heard the point. I would amend the original motion to approve the minutes with Mr. Lutrip's, Commissioner Lutrip's noted corrections.
Yeah, we had a motion and a second, and then we're having discussion. And the maker of the motion has accepted your suggestion to correct the minutes, and the second concurs. Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, so the minutes are approved with that correction. All right, now, this is the time for public comments to the Planning Commission. And this would be if anyone wishes to address the commission regarding a matter of a public nature. If you're here for the hearings tonight, then there'll be time to testify at the hearings. Okay, seeing none. Staff comments.
All right, good evening, Commissioners. So just a few updates for you. We are still working on the vacation rental ordinance, and that is going well. Randy has been a huge help to the planning staff on drafting that, and Sean's been taking the lead. So we're nearing completion from the internal perspective, getting that ready to route to the various city departments for review, and then once that's done, we'll send it out to the stakeholders and get some input. We also have several items on the August 9th Planning Commission agenda. There will be a subdivision request, and that's going to be in Riverstone. And then there's a 4-part request on Blackwell Island. And this is being requested by the Marina Yacht Club, LLC, which is a subsidiary of the Hagedon Corporation. So they're going to be looking to do annexation, a limited planned unit development request, a zone change, and then removing one parcel from an existing PUD. So it'll be probably a little bit longer meeting. That's all I have.
Okay. Any commissioner comments? All right. We have one administrative item tonight. The applicant is the Port of Hope Centers Incorporated, and this is a request for a 6-month extension of their special use permit, SP 3-13. Hello, Hillary.
Hello again. So this is a little bit deja vu. We were before you about 6 months ago. Port of Hope had requested a 6-month extension at that time because they were working on finding a new location in Post Falls. They are still working on that. They are not going to be able to get it done in time before the special use permit extension expires, and so they're before you asking for an additional 6-month timeframe. We should have been coaching them to ask for the full extension the first time they came to you instead of having it just be a 6 months. So it's the same information as last time. All the conditions would still apply. It's just pushing that sunset date back to March 1st, 2017. And the director, Carlos Solorza with Port of Hope, is here this evening if you do have questions for him. But nothing has changed. They are actively working on the facility in Post Falls, so we think they'll be able to do that within the time frame.
So if this extension is approved, which I'm sure it will be, then the next time, if they can't get it built by the time frame, the next 6 months, then it has to go back to us for a full hearing.
Correct.
Very good.
Yes, yep.
Okay, so this is a simple motion.
Mr. Chair, I move approval of the extension.
Okay, motion for approval by Luttrip,
Second.
a second by Messina. Any discussion on this one? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, so that passes unanimously, the 6-month extension. We have, excuse me, 2 public hearings tonight. And, oh, thank you very much. On these public hearings, they're quasi-judicial, and the staff will do a staff report, and then the applicant will come up and will have up to 30 minutes if they need it to make their presentation. And then we'll take testimony from any members of the public in the audience. You have up to 5 minutes to comment. And then there'll be some time for rebuttal from the applicant. And since it's quasi-judicial, I'll need to swear you in when you step up to the podium. You can state your name and address. Okay, does any commissioner have a conflict to declare on this one? All right. So, and this one is Lake City Engineering, East 2650 and 2750 West Prairie Avenue is the location. Proposed 9.47 acre annexation from county agricultural to city R8, legislative A-3-16. Hello there, Tammy.
Hello,
You should
good
have the
evening.
staff report. Hi.
Thank you, Chairman Jordan. All right, so this evening, the decision point is Lake City Engineering is requesting the approval of a proposed plus or minus 9.47 acre annexation from county agricultural to city R8 zoning. So the property is located at the northwest corner of the intersection of Prairie Avenue and Corsellis Parkway. And again, that's the decision point for the Planning Commission. This is an aerial photo of the site depicting the subject property outlined here. And it's a 9.47 acre parcel. There are 2 county parcels making up this subject property. This is Prairie Avenue. And the property directly to the west was recently annexed in, and they're in the process of Garden Grove subdivision at this time. So a little bit of background on the R8 zoning district. Generally, it's intended as a residential area that permits a mix of housing types at a density not greater than 8 units per acre. And that information is in your staff report on page 2. And page 3 provides the information with the principal uses and uses that were allowed by special use permit if it were approved. So just to clarify for some of the folks that may be interested in what types of housing that could be allowed in this, the R8 allows for single-family duplex housing and pocket housing. This is the annexation map that depicts the area they would like to annex, and here are the lot lines that show the existing county lots. So I'll go through the required findings for this request. The first one, finding B8, that the proposal is or is not in conformance with the comprehensive plan policies. And this subject property, which is noted here, falls within the area that is in transition, and it's also within the Atlas Prairie category in the comprehensive plan. So if I've included the Atlas Prairie today and Atlas Prairie tomorrow in your staff report, and talks about the characteristics of the Atlas Prairie neighborhoods and what they should be. This is the area that denotes the Atlas Prairie comprehensive plan area in the map. And then this is the current city limits line noted in the red. And there are the characteristics of the Atlas Prairie neighborhoods and what they could be. Your staff report also includes on pages 5 and 6 comprehensive plan goals and objectives, if you'd like to take a look at those. Finding B9, that public facilities and utilities are not available and adequate for the proposed request. So I'll summarize briefly some of these staff comments that were included. As far as stormwater will be addressed as the area proposed for the annexation develops. Traffic, the assessment states due to the increased traffic loading on Prairie, the east-west arterial roadway adjoining the northerly boundary of the subject property, the development is proposing to utilize local streets to the east, Corsellis Parkway, as a principal point of access for the subject property. Secondary access will be available through the newly developed subdivision, which is Garden Grove, adjoining the westernly boundary. So using these points will eliminate the additional connection point to Prairie Avenue, and it will also be addressed at the time the applicant submits infrastructure improvements. Another comment by the planning or the engineering department, the area proposed for annexation is bordered by one of the area's major east-west arterial roadways, which is Prairie Avenue, and that roadway is fully developed to 5 lanes. Let's see, the adjoining Prairie Avenue is under the jurisdiction of Post Falls Highway District. As far as water, the subject property falls within the service area of Hayden Lake Irrigation District, and it's their responsibility to determine service capacity for the said parcel. And the wastewater department does not have any issues with the proposed annexation, and they presently have the wastewater capacity and willingness to serve the project. And the fire department will address access to the site, fire protection, road width, surface, maximum grade. All of those concerns would be addressed at the time of building permit submittal, and if they submit for a subdivision, those will also be addressed. Finding B10, that the physical characteristics of the site make or do not make it suitable for the request at this time. So the subject property is relatively flat with Prairie Avenue to the north, and the future access, as I mentioned earlier, is proposed along Corsellis Parkway, which is adjacent to the site. And this is the photo of the subject property. And as I mentioned, there are some existing structures on the site, but for the most part, it is vacant. And this is a view of the subject property looking north. Finding B11, that the proposal would or would not adversely affect the surrounding neighborhood with regard to traffic, neighborhood character, and/or existing land uses. So the neighborhood character is noted in the 2007 comprehensive plan on item B8. And as I mentioned, the property is made up of 2 large parcels, the northern boundary of the city, and there's 2 existing single-family residences and several outbuildings currently on the property, but the majority of the property is vacant. And Garden Grove, which was recently annexed, abuts the property to the west. And this is a generalized land use pattern. The yellow indicates single family, and this is the subject property, Garden Grove to the west. As far as zoning, the property to the west, south, and east are all currently zoned R8. And as I mentioned, it's primarily single family. Duplex housing and pocket housing would also be permitted in that zoning district. So there are no proposed conditions. The city would go into an annexation agreement and address any concerns as we move forward. So action alternatives, the Planning Commission will need to consider the request and make the appropriate findings to approve, deny, or deny without prejudice. And that's the end of my presentation. If you have any comments or questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Tammy, I have a good report.
Thank you.
I have one question, and that has to do with the Hayden Lake Irrigation District. We've had other developments along Prairie. Just wanting to ensure that even though that's not our water department, it would be ideal that we had some kind of a statement from them that, you know, they will serve, they can serve. Seemed like in previous annexations along there, we had a more affirmative type statement from Hayden Lake Irrigation District indicating that that they can serve this, and perhaps the applicant maybe addresses that, I don't know. But
Staff will require that the applicant or developer provide a will-serve letter to us when they move forward with their subdivision request.
okay, thank you.
And that will serve letter will provide direction or guidance to them as the amount of water will be available through the fire hydrants as prescribed by the fire department. I assume the fire department has certain criteria, pressure and whatnot.
They would. And I can't speak to the water department's requirements as far as what that expectation would be, and the applicant may be able to
But
address
the
it.
fire department has some requirements, and those will be met.
Correct.
Even though it's a different water district. You had a page up there on our handout, it was page 8, and it's a bunch of yellow in the subject property, and there's a bunch of blue, there's 2 blue things there.
Those
I
are civic.
assume-
Civic.
Are those parks or open space?
I know the one directly, let me get to that page.
Yes.
There we go. Yeah, this is, I believe, the Sunshine Meadows Park. And, let's see, and this is a civic use of some sort, I
Well,
don't know
that
exactly.
that leads me to my real question is,
Okay.
we're getting more and more annex applications up there, and I'm sure with all that are not filled in, will ultimately be filled in. Does the city have some type of criteria for open space and/or public open space, public parks, after there's so many acres of residential or whatnot? At one time, there was a presentation, the Parks Foundation had some incentives that they could offer the developer, financial incentives that we couldn't offer, and so that they would work through that stuff. Absent that, then I guess we could dictate or direct, and I don't know if we'd want to do that. But I'm wondering if we have some type of criteria, something we, as a group or myself, can reasonably expect open space, not this little setbacks and stuff in PUDs, but public open space for these higher density areas.
I'm not sure if Hillary or Randy could speak to that as far as the Parks Master Plan.
So that's, the city collects the impact fees, and that's one area where we get the parks into the city. So PUDs, obviously, there's that 10% requirement for the open space, which could be a park, and it could be open to the public, or it could be private, but then the city does collect impact fees. And then in line with the Parks Master Plan is where the parks are located and constructed when there's adequate funds. And
Hillary, I agree with everything you say, but I can't hear.
you couldn't hear
I
that?
couldn't hear you.
Okay.
So,
Can
and
any of
I've
the other
got my
commissioners
hearing aids
hear?
up full blast. So is
Okay.
there a criteria, is there some standard we follow as a city that after so-and-so amount of development, you're going to have X, Y, open space or parks? I'm sorry.
Can you hear better up here?
Yes, I
Better?
can.
Okay.
Now, clear the bell.
So the city collects impact fees, and part of that is based on the percentage of the number of acres of parkland per person. And I don't remember the exact number, I should. There's actually, tomorrow morning, the council's going to be evaluating as part of the impact fees to see if that ratio should be evaluated or not. But when we collect the impact fees, the city then builds parks around the city based on the Parks Master Plan. And so that is based on that number of acres per person within the city's population and what already exists.
There's 2 aspects of that, funding and criteria. The city determines this needs to be done, if that's X, Y, Z, then find fund. Could we somehow get what the criteria is? I just settle my own mind, because I look at these, and there just seems to be, and they're going to be nice developments and so forth, and then we get to the public open space and the not so public, and our parks are pretty neat, and thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay, any,
I was just going to make a quick comment for Commissioner Lutrip. I believe, and maybe someone can correct me if I'm wrong, but that big block blue space for Civic is where Hospice House is. So it's not a park.
And then just north of that is the park as well.
But that's in
it's
Hayden, correct?
It's a Hayden Park, but it is close. But it's
Well,
across
yeah.
a very busy street.
Yeah, but it's not in the city. Yeah,
No, it's
you're
not in
right,
the
you're
city.
right. It would, if we have, I'd like to have some comfort.
sure.
I mean, I don't know if comfort's the right word, some knowledge. I'm always comfortable with what the city presents.
okay. Anything else for Tammy? All right,
Thank you.
thank you, Tammy. Okay, Drew, are you doing this? Come on up. Just go ahead and state your name and address.
Good evening, Chairman Jordan, Commissioners. Drew Dittman, Lake City Engineering, 3909 North Schreiber Way in the city of Coeur d'Alene.
Okay, Drew, and do you swear the testimony you're going to give us will be the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Okay. I thought you would.
I'll be brief. I think this is one of the most fairly straightforward annexations we've done. We're surrounded, infill project, obviously surrounded entirely by R8. Obviously Prairie Avenue is the border between Hayden and Coeur d'Alene, so we're surrounded by R8. We're requesting an R8 zoning designation. It's approximately 10 acres. Tammy went over the access issues through Prairie and Corcels. I know we're not supposed to talk about subdivision issues at annexation, but we're looking at accessing Corcels and not Prairie Avenue, which I think everybody likes. That's a good thing. I don't really have much more to add. Other than that, I think it's a very straightforward annexation. I'd be happy to answer questions. I can address Commissioner Engel's question about the irrigation district if you'd like some more information.
Oh, I think process-wise, as we go forward with an annexation, I think comfort zone, it's good to know. I don't anticipate a problem. We've facilitated other annexations along there. I don't have any thought that water is inadequate, but I think it would be better that we had a more affirmative statement up front before the action here, saying it's okay. And I presume you've done some research here. You're not going to get very far into this project and find that you're dead end. So could you share what you know?
Certainly. Utilities as a whole. Utilities are already stubbed to the property. Sewer, water, dry utilities are already stubbed to the property. There's actually a water line that currently traverses the backside of the property. Right back here, there's a water main that traverses the property. It is already annexed into the Hayden Lake Irrigation District. It's already within their boundaries. So we're not pulling it out of Coeur d'Alene and putting it in Hayden Lake. It's already a part of Hayden Lake. We've had conversations with them. As Tammy had stated, typically will serve is addressed at the time of subdivision. John, as you know, because an annexation in and of itself doesn't generate additional impacts. So having a will serve letter at time of annexation is a little bit premature.
But it squares with their master plan,
It squares with their
if you
master
will.
plan. We've had conversations. We're actually scheduled to go in front of their board first part of August. I don't recall the date, but we've met with them. We've talked with them. They're aware of what we're doing. And you're right. I can assure you we wouldn't have gotten this far in the process without covering our bases.
Thank you.
Okay.
Will there be a fence around this property and gates?
I don't know that answer now. You know, it's more of a subdivision issue. I would assume the residential houses would have fences around them. I would assume you would see a fence around the entire perimeter when it's ultimately built out. But that's up to, you know, the individual builders as the lots develop.
Well, I know we're seeing a few where the entire property is fenced and gated. And I've raised it a while back. And I think we as a commission sometimes should meet and develop some type of criteria on fenced areas, gated areas. I don't know, gated sounds I guess gates go with fences, but there's some areas that they have a fence all the way around them. And there's good things about that and there's bad things. But I would like us maybe as a group to talk about that and come up with some criteria as opposed to as each item comes before us. And maybe I'm in the minority, I don't know.
Are you referring to gates across the streets or gates on the individual?
I'm talking about the entire 10 acres enclosed by a fence.
No, there's going to be public rights-of-way that go through there to serve the lots, and so you won't have gates across that. I don't think the city allows gates across public rights-of-way anymore.
And so those be public roads inside?
Public
or-
roads.
Okay. That should have been my question.
Yeah.
They're public roads.
But it'll all be public infrastructure, public roads, correct?
Okay, anything else? All right, I guess you're all done for now.
Thank you.
Thanks. Okay, take testimony from the audience. Let's see, first person I have is Leonard. I'm not sure about the last name, Leonard, how to pronounce it. Did you want to come on up? You just go ahead and state your name there, and I'll swear you in like I did the applicant.
Name is Leonard Benes, B-E-N-E-S,
Okay.
and my address, this is a house I own at 2575 West Timberlake Loop.
Okay, Leonard, you swear the testimony you're going to give us will be the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do,
Okay, go ahead, you have 5 minutes, thanks.
okay? Well, I just feel that to put multiple family dwellings in that area would not be in conformance with what's going on there. I would not have bought that house if I knew there was going to be multiple family dwellings there. I feel that if you want to go ahead and put single-family houses and limit it to that, that would conform with the neighborhood, and I'd be perfectly okay with that. But I don't feel that duplexes, triplexes, fourplexes, pocket houses, whatever they are, would conform to that neighborhood. And then R8 would be about 72 units, if you're allowed, if what that means is 8 units per acre, 8 times 9 is 72 plus units. If it was single-family houses, it would be 36 or less. So, and another thing is traffic would be increased, and there's a lot of little kids in the neighborhood, and there's a park right across the street. So the extra traffic would impact that neighborhood and make it possibly dangerous for little kids around in that park area too. So I'm going to say if you just limit it to single-family houses only, 2 thumbs up. But other than that, I oppose it. That's all I got to say.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Point of clarification, Tammy, the zoning for this property is the same as the zoning for the surrounding property. So with the testimony we received, that address, that is also zoned R8, right?
Yes, the graphic up on the screen actually depicts the R8 to the west, to the east, and to the south, and that's what they've currently asked for, R8.
So all of them are R8, very good, thank you.
Okay. Next I have, looks like the ink kind of faded out a little bit. Roberta, can't quite make the last name out. Am I getting that right?
Bogolea, B-O-G-O,
It is Roberta or Rebecca?
Rebecca Bogolea? That's you? Bogolea.
Okay,
I may have pronounced it wrong, but
sorry about that.
close.
Where are you
We
getting
try.
it? You got her.
You gonna go ahead and state your name?
Spanish
and-
there.
I hadn't planned on speaking.
Well, it's up to you.
Well, your choice.
My name is Rebecca Bagolia,
Bogolea, okay.
and I
Okay.
live at 2468 West Blueberry Circle in Hayden.
Okay, and you swear the testimony you're going to give us will be the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Okay,
Uh,
good, it's all yours.
I live directly across the street on the corner of Corsellas and Prairie. Excuse me. We see accidents all the time at Corsellas and Prairie. And all this is going to do is add more traffic. If you put in multifamily residence, you are going to have to put a light in there, and the speed limit should be down to 35 miles an hour. Also, where are these children going to go to school? Are they going to go to school at Atlas, which means they have to cross Prairie like I watch the kids nowadays? So is that money going to go to Atlas School, or will that money go to a school for Coeur d'Alene?
Okay,
Thank you.
okay, thank you very much. Okay, Janice Grimsby? Did I have you as neutral? Did you want to speak? Okay, come on down.
My name is Janice Grimsby. I live at 2644 West Blueberry Circle. We are backyard to prairie. And
Now, do you swear the testimony you're going to give us will be the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Okay, go ahead, thanks.
I am all in favor of single dwellings. I understand more people coming into the area, but if you put duplexes in a 9-point-some acre property, that's going to be 72 people, families, and two-plus cars per family. That's a lot of vehicles. And I would propose that if the city should get together with Post Falls and Coeur d'Alene, get a stoplight there, and lower the speed limit to 35. It's 35 on the east side of Ramsey. On the west side, it goes up to 40. And a lot more children will be in the area. It's the residents' safety is what I'm concerned about. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, that's all I have on the list. Is there anybody else that wanted to testify on this that I didn't call yet? All right. You're up again.
Chairman, a couple of things. And correct me if I'm wrong, Tammy, but in the R8 zone, multifamily dwelling units are not allowed, correct?
That's correct, it's not
So
permitted.
I just found it on page 3 of your staff report. I think Tammy touched on this a little bit, are the allowable uses for an R8 zone. Duplex housing is allowed in the R8 zone, as well as single-family, but multifamily housing is not allowed. And just to point out and to clarify, everything that's shaded green on that map up there is R8 zoning already. That's what we're asking for. It's a similar zone to what's already there. If I were a betting man, I would bet that you'd see a subdivision similar in size, nature, and characteristic to Sunshine Meadows. Traffic, as I said earlier, annexation doesn't really create additional impacts in and of itself. It's what follows the annexation, the subdivision, that creates additional traffic. I can tell you Prairie is a major arterial in Kootenai County. It handles, I think the current estimates are 15 to 20,000 average daily trips, which gives it a level of service B, if I'm not mistaken, which is good. It's a busy intersection, it is. As far as reducing the speed limit and putting a traffic signal there, that's under the jurisdiction of the Post Falls Highway District. That would be really their call. I don't think we have a say in that matter, to be honest. School district, I don't know, maybe Tammy or Hillary know what, I'm assuming this is Coeur d'Alene School District? Do you know that?
I'm not sure the boundaries exactly. I believe it's the Coeur d'Alene School District, but I know there's some areas where it doesn't make sense
There
that
are
Coeur
some areas where it
d'Alene
overlaps,
residents
correct, yeah.
have to go to Post Falls. It
I'd
is.
have to look that up, honestly. I don't know off the top of my head which school district it's in. I think I addressed all the concerns that
Mr.
neighbors
Chair?
had.
Okay, go ahead then.
I just wanted to make sure that the members in the audience heard what that was said. That would you restate that again?
Multifamily dwelling units are not
allowed
in the R8 zone, per city ordinance.
In the R8?
That's correct.
So why does the R8 state multi-dwelling?
It does not.
It doesn't include multifamily in the R8 zoning.
It's just duplexes and single family.
So how are you going to get 8
Well,
single-family dwellings in a 9.some acre per acre?
I'm sorry, but we
in
can't,
9 acres?
we can't, you can address that if you want, but we can't. That's
I'll
okay.
address
We
it. You
have the
can't.
audience.
When you're doing single-family homes, because of, the ordinance requires certain width lots, certain size lots, you couldn't ever with single-family homes realistically get to 8 units an acre on a piece this size. You're going to see, like I said, if I were a betting man, I know we're not supposed to talk about subdivision stuff, but you're going to see something similar to Sunshine Meadows, which is probably 3.5, 4 units to acre, something like that.
35 units.
Okay.
John?
Drew, to kind of allay some concerns perhaps for the folks that spoke, our finding that we have to make has to do with compatibility with the conformance with the comp plan, and I think we're looking for a good fit there, correct? And help me understand, and I think to allay maybe some concern, that the nature of all of that area out in the northwest quadrant, we have the landings, we have Sunshine Meadows, we have Hawks Nest, we have a good bit of Coeur d'Alene Place. All of those, correct me if I'm wrong, are R8. And so I guess my personal feeling here is that this is a good fit from a comp plan perspective. It's doing nothing more than what we're already have there, and to allay the concerns, we're not going to have triplexes, we're not going to have quadplexes, and I really think from my seat here that I doubt we're going to see a duplex. And it's not so much that we have a condition that way, but it's just if it was a good fit to build a bunch of duplexes, you'd see a bunch of duplexes in Hawks Nests and Landings and Sunshine Meadows. And the reason that you don't is the developer of this is going to see things the same as those other folks, and they're not going to want to do something that detracts from their best value, which is probably single family.
Correct. Commissioner Ingles, correct. One clarification. Everything is R8 and the landings is R3. The yellow you see on the map. But everything else you mentioned, Hawks Nest, Sunshine Meadows, all of those are R8.
Everything that surrounds it.
Everything that's in green on that map is R8, yeah. And you're correct. You're going to see something similar to what's been developed there. Something similar to probably the landings, Hawks Nest, Sunshine Meadows. Even the stuff across the street in Hayden, where these folks were from, Strawberry Fields, it's the similar size lots.
And we're definitely not going to see a triplex.
Why, you can't.
Or a quadplex.
Not in the R8 zone, I can't. Not that we would try in this location, but you can't.
All right, any other
Any other
questions?
Actually, I want to make a clarification. So you could do pocket housing. Once you get past a duplex, it would
Correct.
be considered pocket housing. Some would call it a triplex, but it's considered to be pocket housing in our terms.
Well, if you did pocket housing, you'd have to come back for a pocket housing plat.
Only if you subdivided it, but yes.
Okay. Any other questions for the applicant? Okay, did you have anything else to add?
I don't, unless there's other
Right.
questions? No?
I guess not.
Thank
Guess
you.
We're all set. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I have a couple of questions of staff. This question was raised, where will the money go? For what school district will receive the money from the property taxes in this area?
Whatever district it's in.
And that would be 271, is that correct? Okay. So regardless whether it's what school, it's 270, whatever the school district covers that, whatever that property school is in, whatever school district property is in, gets the money. And so this property is in school district 271, so they'll get the money to spend as they see fit. Secondly, if the speed limit is different on different parts of Prairie Avenue, and it's maintained, you're under responsibility of the Post Falls Highway Department, but half of the residents are city residents. I would assume that the city, and if they chose to, could meet with the Post Falls Highway Department or Road District and discuss if there's a need to modify the speed limits and whatnot for the safety of the. And then one final thing, the R8 and 4 and so forth, the staff is very nice in meeting with people. This question came up when I was first at this group, and although it says R8, that the way the roads go and so forth, it's just about impossible, if not impossible, to put 8 dwelling units on a property. But don't take my word for it. Meet with the staff and let them explain to you. It might help. Might help you, because it's somewhat difficult for me, at least for me, to understand.
Okay. Is anyone working on a motion?
Is the testimony closed? There's an individual who has his hand up there.
Okay. Well, I'm sorry, sir, we're done with the public testimony. Does anyone want to make a motion on this?
I'll make a motion. This matter having come before the Planning Commission on July 12, 2016, and there being present a person requesting approval of item A-3-16, a request for zoning prior to annexation from county agricultural to city R8, residential at 8 units per acre zoning district. Applicant Lake City Engineering. Location is plus minus 9.47 acre located east of Atlas Road and south of Prairie Avenue, north and west of Sunshine Meadows. I would adopt B1 through B7. Going to B8. That this proposal is in conformance with the comprehensive plan policies as follows, and I would adopt comprehensive plan goals and objectives, and I will just read the objective number, but it's in the staff report. Objective 1.11, objective 1.12, community design, 1.13 open space, 1.14 efficiency, 1.16 connectivity, 2.02 economic and workforce development, objective 2.05 pedestrian bicycle environment, 3.01 managed growth, 3.05 neighborhoods, 3.08 housing, 3.16 capital improvements, 4.02 city services, and 4.06 public participation. Finding B9, that the public facilities and utilities are available and adequate for this proposed use, as reported in the staff report, making note that there was concern about perhaps looking into lowering the speed limit where it changes from on Prairie, as well as one of the neighbors talked about perhaps looking into a traffic light at some point along Prairie Avenue, and perhaps the city can look into that as well. Streets, water, wastewater, and fire are all adequate, according to the staff report. Finding B10, that the physical characteristics of the site make it suitable for the request at this time, as per the staff report. Finding B11, that the proposal would not adversely affect the surrounding neighborhood with regard to traffic, neighborhood characteristics, and/or existing land uses. Most of the land surrounding this particular acreage is zoned to similar zoning as the applicant is requesting. Again, making note, as I said before, about speed limit and perhaps a traffic light at some point in time. Planning Commission, pursuant to the aforementioned, finds that the request of Lake City Engineering for zoning prior to annexation as described in the application should be approved, and that is my motion.
Okay, thank you very much. So we have a motion by Messina.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, and we have the second by Rumpler. Any discussion?
I have a discussion item, if I could. You know, we had some discussion with some of the folks testifying regarding, you know, the density and the fit. I think it's a great fit. It's surrounded by R8. I think it's going to be a very appropriate fit. I think it syncs with the comp plan as the drafters of the comp plan would have expected this to be. The other, I think, discussion item from folks testifying had to do with traffic. And as Commissioner Messina pointed out, there's opportunities for that to be looked at. And I'm guessing Drew would nod his head when I point out that this is an annexation action here, of which, from a macro perspective, we're trying to see, if it fits in a macro manner, and the analysis is fairly macro in that, we make the assessment that, 20 to 26 ADTs, or average daily trips, is really all this generates, and that's a really low number. Drew's nodding his head. And the other thing I really wanted to check in on to make sure I understand the process correctly is, again, this is just annexation. Later on, when the subdivision plans come in, there's an opportunity later for a little bit more analysis. The head's nodding. And really, that's the point where, should the road come in exactly here or a little further down, Corsellis, 300 foot down versus, there's opportunity for further details there. So I think we should be comfortable on the density in the R8, and I think we should be comfortable with the macro numbers that, generating 20 to 26 ADTs, as long as when the details come in, we've got the connection points right and that sort of thing, and we get to see it again with that regard. So I'm in favor.
Okay. Anyone else have any comments? All right. Shanna, a roll call, please.
We need a second.
We did.
Oh, Rumpler seconded it.
Rumpler second.
Yep.
Yeah.
Fleming?
Yes.
Ingalls?
Yes.
Lutrip?
Yes.
Messina?
Yes.
Rumpler?
Yes.
Ward?
Yes.
Okay, so that's approved. A-3-16. This gets a little bit confusing, but what we did is we approved the zoning for the annexation tonight, but this doesn't mean they can go out and start building houses out there. So the next thing that happens is this goes to the city council, because annexation is a city council function. We just set the zoning prior to annexation, so this will be moving up to the city council. And then after it's actually annexed by the city council, then they'll be coming back with some kind of a subdivision plat, some kind of a development for this property. Then that comes back here to planning and zoning again. So there's several steps going on. So that's what we did tonight, is we just approved the zoning. So our recommendation goes to the city council that if they annex this, it's going to be in an R8 zone. Okay, so the next one, this is our last hearing tonight. The applicant is Ian Woodman, Instant Tax Solutions, LLC, and this is 3829 North Schreiber Way, a proposed professional administrative special use permit in the manufacturing zoning district. This is a quasi-judicial hearing. It's SP 1-16. Does anyone have a conflict to declare on this one? Seeing none. And looks like Mike is doing the staff report on this, I'll bet.
This is the application for SP 1-16, an application by Ian Woodman for Instant Tax Solutions requesting a special use permit to allow a professional and administrative office in the manufacturing district on property located at 3829 Schreiber Way. You see the location of the property is located here, highlighted in red. This is Ramsey Road here, Kathleen here, and US Highway 95, and Schreiber Way hooks through this way. Here's a close-up aerial photograph of the property. This is Schreiber Way. This is the property highlighted in red. The City of Coeur d'Alene Police Department's here. There's a FedEx building here and the U.S. Post Office building here. This is the applicant's proposed site plan. It's a two-story office building located here. He wants to do this in two phases. The first phase is this area and possibly a second phase in the future with another building here. Here's the floor plan of the proposed building, primarily just offices around the outside of the building with a reception area in the center. And then on the second floor, we have more offices and a conference room. There are 3 findings necessary that need to be met in order to approve a special use permit. First finding is finding B8A, that this proposal is or is not in conformance with the comprehensive plan. This comprehensive plan indicates this area in the Ramsey Woodland area, and you see this area is highlighted in white here, and it's in the stable established area. Comprehensive plan objectives talk about 3 things in relation to this special use. One is community design, second one's efficiency, and the third one is business image and diversity. The comprehensive plan talks about Ramsey Woodland area today, and the development pattern in this area is mixed with established subdivisions. Industrial uses are prominent to the west of Atlas Road with mixed residential zoning on the south side of Hanley Avenue. And there's neighborhood service nodes throughout the area. The Ramsey Woodland area tomorrow will be a pedestrian and bike-friendly area with parks, service areas, and multi- and single-family units. Finding B8B, the design and planning of the site is or is not incompatible with the location, setting, and existing uses on adjacent properties. The area surrounding the request is relatively flat. The vicinity yields 2 zones, the manufacturing and the light manufacturing, and there's a variety of business uses located in the area. Here's a zoning map depicting the area. The area highlighted in red is the subject property. Everything down here is the manufacturing, and to the north is light manufacturing. There's been a variety of special use permits that have come through, mainly in this area. As you can see, there's multiple special use permits. The land use map indicates that there's civic uses to the north and south, and to the east is commercial. To the west is commercial, and there's some vacant property to the west. Here's some site photos of the property. This is looking northeast through the property along Schreiber Way. This is looking due east on the southeast corner. This is at the center of the property looking east. This is at the northwest part of the property looking southeast. And finally, the final finding. The location, design, and size of the proposal are such that the development will or will not be adequately served by existing streets, public facilities, and services. The utility project managers indicated that wastewater utility does not have any comments, and they are willing to serve this project as proposed. The water department said there's adequate capacity in the public water system to support the proposed use. Stormwater issues will be addressed during the time of building permit. There's an existing street that's been fully developed in the front that is adequate to serve the use. And the fire department has indicated they will address all issues during the fire when the permits are pulled, but they have also requested some conditions. The first 4 conditions are related to the fire department, and the last one's related to the water department. The first condition is for fire hydrants, second one is road widths, third one is about turning radiuses, and the fourth one is dead-end streets and the distance there. And finally, the water department has, if there's an additional second building, they will require separate domestic water service. And the Planning Commission will need to consider this request to make the appropriate findings to approve, deny, or deny without prejudice. And that concludes my presentation.
Okay, that was an excellent job. Any questions?
Very quick, in
You
your...
two again.
Well, I think they'll be different. In your staff report, you notice that you note the manufacturing districts intended for a variety of intensive manufacturing uses, et cetera. And does this special use run with the property? I think it does, if it's approved, right?
It does. If they sell this property, the special use goes
So
with
then
it.
the person that purchases it later on, how are they aware that this is intrusive and so forth, so we don't have them coming back 5 or 6 years from now complaining? But is that part of the record, part of the deed, part of the transaction, so any buyer knows what they're getting into?
Well, if a buyer buys out there, there are certain covenants that have been developed out there that the city does not enforce, so they're kind of aware of that part of it. And usually if someone buys a property, they're aware of the zoning and they would check on that. So And this will only, if this person doesn't build within 12 months, it will expire.
Well, even if that, my issue is that every once in a while, we have items come before us, and they become uncomfortable for everybody, because it's intrusive nature and so forth, that if a person knows about it ahead of time, it makes it easier, and so.
The applicant's aware what's the surrounding
And
zoning is.
and future owners is what I'm getting at.
I can't predict what the future owners are going to not know and know. It goes with the property, though, and I don't know if it's attached to the deed or not. I would have to check with Randy on that. I don't think it is.
No. It's on the record at the city, though. If somebody
It is on the
calls to
record with the
ask
city.
about it and says, hey, is this office building legal? Then planning looks it up and says, oh, yeah, there's a special use permit on it.
That is correct.
Title search.
And usually special uses are intended for more intensive uses to go in a different area and not for like an office building to go into a manufacturing district.
Yeah, this is really a less intensive use that's triggering the special
Right.
use permit.
Thank you.
Yep.
Oh, you're done? Okay.
Just have a.
Anything
interesting-
on this end? Okay.
Just interesting comment. You know, as I'm kind of looking at this manufacturing zone, it seems to be sufficiently devoid of manufacturing.
Yeah.
Which is, you kind of, there's a lot of special uses being cited in that manufacturing zone, and given the fact that it's really fundamentally changed the use of that kind of region in a sense, I think this, you know, certainly does make sense. There's certainly a lot of other special uses proximal to where this property is going to be located, so I could see how it could work.
More the rule than the exception. Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah, more warehousing than there is manufacturing, really.
But each one of those are special uses has been approved by this group.
Yeah.
Right.
Or the group that preceded this group.
By this, yes.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you very much. So is the applicant here? Or the representative of the applicant?
They're all pointing in different directions.
Just go ahead and state your name and address.
Ian Woodman, 11371 North Cattle Drive in Hayden.
Okay. Ian, do you swear the testimony you're going to give us will be the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Go ahead.
I wasn't
Just,
planning on speaking.
Tell us
so-
what you'd like to tell us.
But, yeah, we plan on building a two-story office building. We're currently located in Post Falls, and we're moving over to Coeur d'Alene. We have 24 employees, and I just wanted to spoil them all with a nice window office. So found a place a lot, and we're gonna build one there, hopefully.
Well, that should work out good for that. Okay, is that it? Okay.
Yeah.
And that's fine. Any questions for the applicant? I guess no questions, okay.
Okay.
So,
Thank you.
simple presentation, that's fine. Have one person signed up to testify, Randy, is it Smoffett? Smith? Oh, sorry. Okay, just checking to see if you changed your mind. So I have you in favor and do not wish to testify. Is there anyone else that wants to testify on this? Okay. Come on up, state your name and address.
Is Joe Rosen, 8447 Salmonberry Loop in Hayden.
Okay, Joe, and do you swear the testimony you're going to give us will be the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Okay.
So I would like to just offer my support for this development and agree with Mr. Rumpler, even though the comprehensive plan shows that area being pretty much more manufacturing. As you've seen, there's, I believe, at least 8 special use permits out in that area right now. So I know that Randy Smith from Northcon Construction will build a very nice building for Ian and Becky, and I think it'll be a compliment to the area.
Okay, thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay. Now, you technically have rebuttal time, but you probably don't have to use it. Is there anything else you wanted to tell us? I'm just checking. Did you think of anything you wanted to add, because you have a chance to come up again? All right, that's fine. Okay. I guess we're looking for a motion on this one.
I'll make a motion.
Okay, great.
This matter having come before the Planning Commission on July 12, 2016, and there being present a person requesting the approval of item SP-1-16, a request for a professional administrative office special use permit in the manufacturing zoning district. The applicant, Ian Woodman, Instant Tax Solutions LLC, location a plus or minus 1.5 acre parcel located at 3829 Schreiber Way. I would recommend that we adopt findings B1 through B8, through B7, and then on B8 pursuant to section 17-09.220, the special use permit criteria, special use permit may be approved only if the proposal conforms to all the following criteria to the satisfaction of the commission, and I believe it does, because in the findings B8A, the proposal is in conformance based on 1.12, the community design, the objectives that were presented at the staff meeting, 1.12 community design, 1.14 efficiency, and 2.01 the business image and diversity. Finding B8B, the design and planning of the site is compatible with the location, setting, and existing uses on adjacent properties based on the criteria for that. This project does fit the surrounding areas. Is the proposed development is compatible with existing land use patterns, and so on. Finding B8C, that the location, design, and size of the proposal are such that the development will be adequately served by existing streets, public facilities, and services. This is based on all the various department reports. So I'd like to conclude by saying the Planning Commission, pursuant to the aforementioned, finds that Ian Woodman, again, Instant Tax Solutions LLC, for a special use permit as described in the application should be approved based on 5 special conditions that were mentioned. And if someone would like, I will mention them, or I can just leave it at the 5 that have already been reported by Mike.
Yeah, you can just reference the staff report.
Okay, then the 4 with the fire and the 1 with the water departments equaling the 5 special conditions. And that's my motion.
I'll second that motion.
Okay. Thank you very much. So we have a motion by Ward for approval, second by Fleming. Any discussion?
Discussion?
Yes.
I'd just like to point out, and I agree with the motion wholeheartedly, one of the comp plan elements is 2.01 that talks about business diversity in business. And I counted the number of offices roughly on the little floor plan that's there, and I counted 27. Maybe that's 27 jobs plus reception folks and some others, maybe 30 plus jobs coming to Coeur d'Alene from Post Falls. Thank you very much. That's a good thing. And the other clarification, I agree with Commissioner Rumpler that there's not a lot of manufacturing, but I've done some personal research in that area, and there is some wine and beer manufacturing that I have found to exist there.
And cider. Don't forget cider.
Let's not forget about the cider.
New cider, yeah.
Okay. Anyone else? All right, time for roll call.
Fleming?
Yes.
Ingalls?
Yes.
Messina?
Yes.
Lutrip?
Yes.
Rumpler?
Yes.
Ward?
Yes.
Okay, so that's approved. SP1-16. Wish you good luck with your project, and welcome to Coeur d'Alene. So, I think we're all set until our meeting in August. Motion for adjournment.
Mr. Chair, before we have a motion for adjournment, I would like to make a little comment. There's a unique group in our community that's eligible for July 23rd gala. That's a Saturday. Many of these people who qualify are probably not watching right now. They're probably watching, will be watching a repeat at 4 in the morning or thereabouts. The gala is an all-class Coeur d'Alene High School class reunion. To be eligible, you must have graduated in 1966 or prior. So if you are part of that unique group, and you're not aware of that, you may want to call a classmate. It's a lot of fun. July 23rd. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay.
Move adjournment.
Does anyone want to adjourn?
He moved to
Oh,
adjourn.
you moved to adjourn.
I'll second.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll
Okay,
second.
good. Second by Fleming. All in favor of adjourning?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right. So that passes unanimously.
You have to be in the year 66.